Hi, Steve Ninnes from Maintenance Experts, here to talk today about saving money in fleet maintenance. Okay, I actually come from a bit of a mining background or fleet background, and I want to talk today about, trucks and loaders and that sort of stuff that you guys have and you want to reduce their costs. Now, I've put up here an example with 3 cement trucks. Okay, I like using those because of the number of elements that they've got involved in the truck. I mean, not only is it the truck itself, but it's also the unit on the back. Same can be said for, if it's a loader, if it's a drag line, whatever. There's a number of different components that make up the unit itself. And what I want to talk to you about though is this. I want you to reduce your costs by 10%. Hopefully you can see that. A 10% reduction in your costs. By the way, if you can't see it on the screen here, normally there's little words that go, around about my belly button anyhow that tell you what's happening. So that'll give you an idea. And now back to the story though. I want you to reduce your costs by 10% in your fleet maintenance costs with not much effort. It doesn't take that much. And I just to talk about it, like, how can you actually go about it? And there's 3 main things I can think of. It's called doing PM. It's being vigilant, and it's a responsibility. Okay, and firstly I've got to say is, okay, you've got a fleet of trucks, a fleet of whatever. You might have 4 of them, you might have 22 of them, doesn't matter, don't care. Could have 1,000 of them. But basically you have to do the maintenance on them. Now, I know most people that would watch this would then immediately say, but I can't, because operations always need that unit. Well, the fact of life is they can't have it, okay? So, and this comes down to the PM side of things. If I have this equipment and I have to do, a 250 hour, a 500 hour, 1,000 hour, a 4,000 mini rebuild type job at 4,000, the turbo needs to be done at 2,000 hours. And I'll throw in there that the barrel on the truck needs to be given a going over once a year. Okay, and you have these jobs to do, and you're a maintenance person, so you get it anyway. You've got all this stuff to do. But the problem is, the operations side always want these trucks. The thing is, they can't have them all. I mean, you know that. And I think again, I will always say it's about how we sell stuff. If we have 6 trucks in our fleet, okay, there's 6. How many do you believe that operations can have at any one time for you to be able to do the maintenance and make sure these units are looked after? I mean, you can't. Can someone have 6 trucks? Fact of life is they can't, because if you're going to do any of this, you can't have 6 trucks. Unless, of course, there is one way around it. You only work an 8-hour shift, and then you get all night to maintain them. However, most operations don't run like that. Maintenance and operations are there at the same time. But if you've got 6, let's say at best you're probably going to get 5. And realistically, you're going to get 4. And on a bad day, you're going to get probably 3 and maybe even 2. And when the shit really hits the fan, then you get 1. And that's when you go, whoops, we're in big trouble. But as you can see, to have 6 there is pretty impossible. Operations need to understand that. They need to be told, okay, you can't actually have 6 trucks. You're only going to get, let's just say if I have 6, I'm going to give you 4. You can actually plan your whole thing around 4. And it's something which needs to be really said right at the start, and also too continuously, because if you don't have that in play, then you can't do any of this maintenance. None of this will occur. And so now the other part I have to address though too, okay, and I have run out of room, so I'm going to go back to my, just excuse me, I'll get rid of my trucks. The other part is too, if you are actually if you've got a lot of breakdown maintenance in your company right now, okay, you've got your breakdown maintenance at this level, and your PM level's at this level. Okay, the problem is, if you've got a breakdown level like that and really low PM, to actually increase this PM, you need to get the units in. The problem is, they need 4, and you've only got 2 running around because everything else is stuffed. Okay, it's broken in some way. It's a gargantuan effort to actually change this. And again, I'm saying this in trying to be nice to maintenance people. The only way we can do it is to get the gear. You have to do this maintenance here, no matter what. Okay, it has to happen. And that's the only way it can occur, is basically, you know, if you wanted this PM to start coming down, sorry, if you want the breakdown, wrong words there. If you want the breakdown to start going down, you must, you know, stick to your guns. And I've actually done it actually 2 or 3 times, where I've actually forced the company to say, we're doing the PM no matter what. Now, this is another little trick that we can also use. You know, in doing this, it's very hard, okay? And it takes, by the way, what's the time frame between there and there? To where you see this as being suitable. You know, this is okay now. I reckon in most operations that I've ever been involved with, you need 3 months. And that is it. And I can't spell. But 3 months is all you need to go from this position to that position. It's not very hard. Now, things you can actually do to encourage the whole thing occurring as well is one of the big reasons why a reason why some gear does go down is for the dumbest reasons. Okay, it may not be, you know, big ticket items like an engine blowing up, or, you know, it could be something simple as, you know, the radio doesn't work, the aircon doesn't function properly, it's too hot. So what you need to do is, when you start doing this maintenance, you actually add a little bit extra in here, and I'm going to call it care. Okay? In other words, if you're bringing something offline and you're going to say do a 1,000-hour service and it's going to be there for 8 hours, think about what the operators have been complaining about that particular unit. And I'll add in this now as well. One thing you must do is clean it. Okay? The biggest thing you've got to do is when that unit goes back into service, make sure it's clean. And even though it means nothing from a maintenance point of view, it's just the whole psyche of it. If an operator has a clean cabin and a clean vehicle, a clean unit, they feel better about it. They actually will take more care because it's cleaner. Of course, you know, they will sometimes damage these things as well. But it's, you know, it's up to you to actually just go that extra mile to show you care. If the radio doesn't work, fix it. If the aircon's not working great, fix it. You know, make sure you clean the thing down. If the seat's got a tear in it, fix it. Those little things will help you get along this path as well. Because if you actually do a big service on a unit and you send it back out and it looks like crap, what do operations actually think you did? Nothing. They think you've actually been sitting on your fat ass in the workshop all day, you know, charging us $1 squillion and you haven't done a thing. If you wash it, you know, and if you fix the radio, they'll think you're great. Well, actually, I hope they think you're great. Little things like that. Now, so that's the PM side of things. The other part, and that was the Vigilance side, I've almost covered it already in what I've been talking about. Okay, in the Vigilance side, I'm talking, look at what's really going wrong with the equipment, rather than, you know, bog standard maintenance. As I've alluded to, a radio can bring a truck down. You know, a bad aircon can bring a loader to a stop. It's often the other things which go on, and look at trends in stuff. The examples I could give you are just endless. I mean, you know, buckets that are worn out, and we replace the teeth every 2 days. Then get a goddamn new bucket on there, refurbish it. That bucket tooth can actually bring a unit down. and there's a whole variety of things. So go through, and actually you don't even have to go through your history, okay? You probably know why right now. It's almost like I would call it a hidden, it's a hidden failure mode that you have in your company. Everyone knows about it, everyone accepts it, but no one does anything about it. And all you have to do is go, no, this is what we're going to do from now on. We're actually going to go out and we're going to buy 2 new buckets. We're going to replace them every 2,000 hours, and we're going to try to alleviate this issue. Instead of the bloody loader comes up to the workshop halfway through a shift with 2 teeth missing, and we have to fix it up. That takes 2 hours. So there's you have to be vigilant and look at all of those things that combine to make good or bad maintenance. And the answers are there. And and the last one which I mentioned as well was responsibility. The biggest issue comes down to accidents. And let's face it, if we've got mobile gear, they do have accidents. How do you get around it? Take it out of your budget, okay? You've got a maintenance budget, and then there's an operations budget. What about the case of saying, at your operation, you're actually going to say, no more accident damage gets attributed to maintenance. It gets attributed to operations. By the way, for the operations people that are watching this, love you, think you do a great job, and now you're responsible for all those accident costs. Because their accidents are not a maintenance cost. It's actually, and I'm sure that if you're a mining maintenance person, I'm sure you've had the experience where you bust a gut, you get a piece of gear back in action, and then it'll go down the adit, and literally half an hour later, someone's run it into a wall. And you go, why do we bother? Why do we bother? Take that out of it. Make it their budget instead of yours. So they're the 3 things that I wanted to talk about. And by the way, really, none of it's that great. And I think you could easily get a 10% reduction in your maintenance costs. I have done this, I'll say 4 times with different operations over a long period of time. Within a year, we've seen at least a minimum of a 10% reduction in maintenance costs by applying this, at least. And if we get the accident cost to go to operations, I will say it's going to be at least 20%. Where you can, just by doing the proper stuff, you will have a reduction in your costs. Thanks a lot.